Welcome to this episode of our book read through of Elon Musk, Woke Messiah by Albion. We left off on this page. And it starts with the Elon Musk quote that reads, "I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness to make sure it continues into the future." Definitely seems like that is one of his primary motivations. Then we have Albion Blur from 2080. Oh, that's got to be like close to the end, right? It reads, "It does not matter what you do, live your life. Give in to your vices or sedate them, irrelevant facts. Both lives provide pleasure and pain, happy and sad times. One is not better than the other, only somewhat different. We harshly judge others, victims of our silent personal beliefs, not because their decisions are any better or any worse, because they are different. Good is similar, bad is different. We are so self-righteous and proud without proper credentials, wired with an inherent belief we are better than others. Judging ignorantly and unjustly, we further our already swelling illusions." And then in bold it says, "Vices provide victims, self-righteous illusions." That's deep. That sounds like Albion, at least when you wrote this, was, I don't know, kind of maybe in a dark mindset to some degree. That's the other thing. If Elon really is Albion in the future, a lot of these blurbs don't sound like Elon, but then it makes you think what that neural intelligence implant would do to the way we think. For accessing information that much more quickly, and communicating in a different way. How does that affect our evolution, kind of? Then under that it says, "Hey Elon, what are the most important questions?" And then in parentheses it says, "The ones you forgot to ask." Yeah, a lot of times. Those are probably the ones that are gonna you're gonna keep thinking about. Next page, it says, "All wars are sad. The first war on Mars will be even more so." Yeah, I think when we think about Mars, it's nice because you can think of it as kind of like a clean slate and starting over in a lot of ways, improving in a lot of ways. So if war follows us to Mars, that's gonna be frustrating. It's like starting with a blank sheet of paper. Before you write something or draw something, Mars is or a war on Mars would be when you realize you've really screwed it up, unfortunately. Then we have the Albion Blur from 2079 that reads, "Our fragile lives are marked by very few momentous occasions. We are born, we live, and we die, little else. Our births are marked with the joy of the unknown. Our certain deaths are marked by our successes and failures. Everything in between is lackluster in comparison. We live constantly mindful of our own mortality. We live constantly unaware of where we first came." And then in bold it reads, "Our fragile lives are marked by our mindful mortality." Again, not getting a lot of positive vibes from these later Albion blurbs. But when we do look back at people, we are probably looking at like 1% of their lives. Oh, we got a movie idea. Artsy film, no dialogue, one uncut shot of Elon the Carpenter making a boat. That does sound artsy. Because it's Elon, you probably get a lot of people watching it. All right, there's an idea. Next page. It reads, "What are your thoughts on emotion? Are they an evolved response to our environment? Are they an ignorant reaction to our environment? Are they something completely different?" And then parentheses it says yes. Well, that doesn't help. And this kind of goes back to, maybe it was just last episode, I was talking about emotion versus logic. Yeah, how would you define emotion? Can you break it down in a lab? I think you can in certain respects, but the totality of emotion and what it means to us, probably super important, but super hard to define exactly. Then we have the LBM blur from 2059, and it reads, how fickle are our most momentous occasions, life's greatest milestones? How quickly do we often decide our most influential decisions? How often are our fates devoid of deliberation and thought? We pride ourselves as divine masters of our own fates, yet our lives are invariably molded by split-second decisions. Decisions made without valid reasons or motivations, without sound evidence. Like animals, we simply react to our environment, our surroundings. Our control exists only in our minds through our rationalizations. Our control exists nowhere else. Rationally invalid. And then in bold it says, how fickle are our most influential decisions? I think it's probably person by person, right? Sometimes it is a quick decision that ends up affecting the rest of your life. Some people, I'm sure, think through things more than others, especially the big decisions. Maybe overly think through it, or they're paralyzed to make a decision. Then we have a Elon Musk quote that reads, when somebody has a breakthrough innovation, it is rarely one little thing. Very rarely. Very rarely is it one little thing. It's usually a whole bunch of things that collectively amount to a huge innovation. I think I heard him talking about comparing, I don't know if it's this, but like a movie. All the little steps and downtime and monotony that goes into making a movie. And then when you see the movie, especially if it's a good movie, at the end, it's this amazing thing. But, that wasn't just created overnight. It was a bunch of little things that together, combined, created this kind of amazing movie, and breakthrough innovation similar. Next page. It says, hey Elon, if you could make the same impact that you have without losing your anonymity, would you? So if he could do what he's doing without being famous, would he? Yeah, that would be interesting. It seems like he deals with fame really well. And I'm sure there's a lot of pros that come with being famous. But I would like to hear his thoughts on that. It's probably something you wish you could turn on and off. Then we had an LBM blurb from 2063 that reads, the debate invariably continues, nature versus nurture, inside against outside. Which is more powerful? Which defines and determines us more? For sure, they are both necessarily instrumental, both crucial ingredients. Nature defines the spectrum one lives on, their designated caste. Nurture defines where on that spectrum one can potentially exist. Nature and nurture interact and dance flirtatiously with each other. Perhaps themselves part of the same spectrum, the same world. Perhaps themselves part of the same entity, the same soul. The difference between the two is very meager at best, different only in our minds, only through our skewed perspectives. And then in bold it reads, nature and nurture interact and dance flirtatiously with each other. And this is an age-old debate, nature versus nurture. I think it's interesting saying maybe they're not so different. Is nurture our outside environment and nature is our inside environment, separated just by, our physical beings? Yeah, you can definitely talk about that for a good long time. Then we have another positive affirmation that says, create. I like about all these positive affirmations, they're like kind of like verbs. So they're not just like love, smile, create, appreciate, forgive. They're not just, what would you call that? When you describe somebody, they're not just adjectives. They're actually something you can do, or when you think about them, it can affect maybe your actions, the way you think and the way you act in a purposeful way. Create. Got it. All right, that will take us to the end of this episode. Join us for the next episode. And until then, have a great day.